Good day, everyone. My name is Ambesiwe Madolwana. I'm from SchoolNet South Africa, and today we're gonna go through a process of implementing Google Workspace across your business. I would like to take this opportunity and welcome everyone to the session, and thank you for joining today's session, hoping that you will enjoy and you will learn a lot from this session. I am not alone. I am with my colleague, Miss Brenda Mohale, who will be today our moderator. So, today's topic is implementing Google Workspace across your business. What you can expect from today's session is you'll discover Google Workspace, what Google Workspace is. You'll know tools to boost your communication across your business. And then you will leverage tools, increase collaboration. Those are the objectives of today's session. Firstly, I would like to know, what tools do you currently use to indicate, to communicate and collaborate within your business? As we all know that during this pandemic of coronavirus, most companies were compelled to close down their offices due to workspace. Maybe the workspace or the work environment is rather limited, and so they could not practice social distancing. So most companies were compelled to close down their offices. And I would like to know, what tools do you currently use to communicate and collaborate within your business? Maybe some other colleagues are working from home, others are working from in the office. So I would like to know, what tools do you currently use? And I would like us to also know, please make use of the chat box and answer questions there and communicate. Let's collaborate and communicate in the chat box. Our today's first question is, what tools do you currently use to communicate and collaborate within your business? I will check out your answers shortly, but I would like us to move on. Now, let's discover what Google Workspace is. Google Workspace is what used to be called the G Suite. It was initially, Google Workspace is not something new. It's something that has already been there, but it is what used to be called G Suite. It is an example of a digital workspace. And Google Workspace enables people to work online wherever there is a stable connection. So in order for you to be able to work on Google Workspace, you need a stable internet connection wherever you are. If you have a stable internet connection, then you can work on Google Workspace wherever you are. You don't need to be in a specific place. You can work wherever you are, but you just need a stable internet connection. Google Workspace particularly is a collection of cloud computing, productivity, and collaboration tools. It is what we know as cloud computing. If we know what cloud computing, then we know what Google Workspace is. And productivity tools and collaboration tools. Google Workspace enables users to create documents, spreadsheets, slides, and more. So with Google Workspace, you are able to create documents, you are able to create spreadsheets, slides, and many more. We'll learn about the many more here in the session as we move on. You can also store data, files, information, and safely on Google Workspace and securely. So working on Google Workspace is very much secured because your files and your data, they will be much more secured. And you can only find Google Workspace on only on Google. It is sold by Google only. Let me rather move a bit back and ask the question again. Do you currently use Google Workspace? Now that I have explained to you what Google Workspace is, I would like to know if you currently use Google Workspace. And if so, I would like to know how. Please communicate with me through the chat box. Do you currently use Google Workspace? And if so, how do you use Google Workspace? I will be waiting for your answers on the chat box. Are you currently using Google Workspace? If so, then how? I hope I'm not moving too fast for you guys. We are still on the same page. I would also like to welcome all new people who just joined the session. Moving right along, we are going to move on tools that you can find or tools that are rather available on Google Workspace. We have the following tools available on Google Workspace. I'm going to move clockwise from the blue icon tool. We have Google Documents. We have Google Mail. We have Google Calendar. We have Google Drive. We have Google Meet. We have Google Keep. We have Jamboard. We have Google Chats. We have Admin Console. We have Google Sheets, We have Google Slides. We have Google Sites, and lastly, Google Forms. Here I have mentioned there are a few other tools included as Google Current. This is Google Current, which we'll discuss a bit later. But also Google Current is also part of the tools of Google Workspace. And these are the main tools you can find on Google Workspace. Now that I have mentioned tools available, I will move on their functionality. Each one of them, I will explain to you how they work. The functionality of Google Workspace. We will start by documents. The core function of Google Workspace, it is to create documents and presentations. You record, analyze, and present data. You brainstorm ideas, manage projects, and store files. You communicate globally. You don't need to be physically in one place with people for you to be able to communicate. With Google Workspace, you can be anywhere. You can be anywhere globally and you'll be able to communicate. So, as I have said before, that all you need to do for you to be able to use Google Workspace is a stable internet connection. I will start by creating documents and presentations. I'll start by Google Documents. With Google Documents, it is a word processing for teams or for colleagues. It's a word processing. You can create and edit text online. You don't need a specific software to be able to use documents, like using your Microsoft Word. You don't need that with Google Document. All you need is a stable connectivity. And with Google Documents, several people can work at the same time. Unlike other tools, you don't need to save the document first and then share it with other people, and then other people can edit and add on some information. With Google Documents, several people can work at the same time. And the advantage of Google Document is that every change is saved automatically on the cloud. You don't need to time after time pressing the save button. Like for instance, let's say for instance you're working, and then we all know that now in our country we struck by a load shedding. So in an event where maybe you were working offline using maybe Microsoft Word, and then using a desktop computer, and then load shedding happens, and then you know that your work is not saved. But with Google Document, you are always safe because every change is saved automatically on the cloud. So that's a very fantastic thing about Google Document. And another thing is that you can work on a single document with team members or people outside your company. You don't need to create numerous or several documents. You can work on that one document. People can make changes, they can comment, they can add on information on one document. You can work as a team on one document, even if you are not in physically in one room or in one space. Wherever you are, you can work on the same document. You can also see edits as other people type. So if someone, for instance, is adding a comment or is adding an input on whatever document we are working on, then you can see that the changes, and you can see the edits. And then you can communicate through built-in chats. There's also chats in the Google Documents. So you can chat and then say, maybe for instance, no, I'm thinking, and add suggestions maybe in the chat box to your colleagues and or team. And then we now gonna move to Google Slides. Google Slides works similarly with Google Documents. With Google Slides, you can also create and edit a presentation in your browser. It also doesn't need a specific software. You can work online. You need stable internet connection, work online, and then edit and create presentation. Also on Google Slides, several people can work at the same time. So everyone is always see what is happening. You can also work on a single presentation online with your partners, same way as Google Documents. And another advantage of Google Slides is that you control who gets permission to edit, to view, and to add comment on your presentation. So not just anyone will have access to edit, or rather have permission to edit, to view, or you can choose if you want someone to add comments. You can choose if you want people to just view your presentation. And then if you want people to be able to edit, then you have a control over that. So no one can just come to your presentation and just do whatever they want to do. You have you have to give them permission to do that. So you have control over your presentation on Google Slides. Google Slides, they are very user friendly than PowerPoint presentations. Now, moving right along. We move on the part of recording and analyze and present data, which tools to use that. If you want to record and analyze or present data, which relevant tools on the Google Workspace you can use. I'll start by Google Forms. The first one you can use is Google Form. If you want to record, if you want to analyze, and if you want to present data, say for instance, you are conducting a survey, there's certain information that you want to collect or want to know, then you can use Google Forms to conduct your survey, to collect information. It is very easy to conduct surveys using Google Forms. You collect data with ease because what you will be getting is exactly what you want. You can ask questions according to what you can get reasons or answers to what you will be expecting from people. You don't just get random information. You can specify exactly what type of questions do you want to ask people. Is you can ask true or false questions. You can ask open-ended questions. You can ask closed-ended questions. It's up to you. You can gather everything in a spreadsheet and analyze data directly from Google Sheets. So what happens with Google Forms, whatever information that you'll be getting, whatever answers you'll be getting from people filling in the form, they will be transferred into a Google Sheets, of which you can analyze your data from there, from Google Sheets. And creating a form, it is as creating a document. You don't need to, if you want to create maybe a one answer question, you can, it gives you that option of selecting that this type of question, this is a one answer question, and this is an open-ended question. Maybe if you want a sentence or two, then you can use that. It has those options. So you get to choose what type of a question are you asking, or what type of an answer are you expecting when using Google Form. You can select from multiple question types, drag and drop to record. So the advantages of using Google Form is that you won't need to type everything by yourself. You can just choose if this is a true or false, this is a yes or no question, this is a checkbox question. If you want, okay, you can say you can give options of your answers, and then people can just tick a checkbox. Moving to Google Sheets. Google Sheets is collaborative, smart, secure spreadsheet for fast-moving organizations. Sheets was designed with the needs of agile organization in mind. You can collaborate with anyone, anytime and anywhere on Google Sheets. And it gives you freedom while keeping your information secure. So working on Google Sheets, you know that your data is very much secure, and you can create while when you're creating your spreadsheet, you know that your data is very much secured. And also on the Google Sheets, all changes are automatically saved as you move to as you are working on the document. Every change you make, it is saved. You can also have offline access. If maybe, for instance, you ran out of data while working on a spreadsheet, on a Google sheet, then you can have an option of working offline, and then you can create, view, and edit files whenever you are and whenever you want to do that. And we move to the benefits. Benefits brought by Google Workspace. The benefits brought by Google Workspace is that you will have increased collaboration. You'll have improved communication, and you'll be working smarter and have enhanced security. So these are the benefits brought by Google Workspace. It's increased collaboration, improved communication, and smart working, enhanced security. So what do we mean by increased collaboration? Google Workspace stores your information in the cloud, enabling you to share documents and files with ease. So with Google Workspace, you store your information on cloud. As I have mentioned before, that it is a cloud computing based tool, Google Workspace. So you are able to store your documents and files with ease. You are able to track changes, comments with ideas, and work with colleagues across the project. So with increased collaboration, you simply share a file with a URL or share document and files via email. And then you're collaborating with your team. You encourage teams to collaborate and share ideas. You can restrict editing access to certain people can only view, comment, or edit your documents. And you can easily track changes, comment with ideas, and work with colleagues across your project. And then we move to improve communication. Harness key tools to maintain and improve level of communication across your business are as follows. They are Google Mail, Google Meet, Google Current, Google Chats. Those are the four harness tools to improve communication and maintain communication across your business. And then we move to working smarter. Use Google Workspace to help your team work smarter, not harder. So you use Google Workspace, as I have mentioned before, that with Google Workspace, you don't need to work harder. You just need to work smarter, because all your information will be firstly safe or saved on the cloud, and you can work collaboratively with anyone, anywhere in the world, as long as you have stable internet connection. When you work smarter, you collect, analyze, turn data into insights. You streamline your workflow and processes and store, manage files, communicate and collaborate via one central system. So when you're working smarter, you collect, you analyze, and you turn data into insight from both customers and your team. So you can be able to collect data from your customers and even from your team. Maybe let's say for instance you use Google forms to collect whatever data you'll be needing at that specific time. You are able to prevent threats before they happen with proactive security tools powered by Google. With Google Workspace, your information is very much secured as they have proactive security tools. People can find the exact files, content, and knowledge they need. So if you need something from Google Workspace, you just you just go to the search bar and then type whatever information you'll be needing, and then we can find exactly the exact file you need, the contact and the content and the knowledge that you'll be needing. And then we move to the enhanced security that I was talking about. I'm trying to check your answers to the questions that I asked. When I was starting the session, I did ask some questions. I believe I asked 2 questions, and I'm checking for the answers to that. But I will move on so long. All right, we're moving to securely storing files and data. You store files, documents, and you store files, document, and data on the cloud via Google Drive. You use Admin Console to centralize your administration, manage users, restrict access, set up passwords, and two-step authentication to protect your business from security threats. So with Google Workspace, you store files, documents, and data on cloud with what we call Google Drive. So if you want your data to be secured and safe, you store your data on Google Drive, what we call Google Drive. And then you use the admin console to centralize your administration and manage users. You restrict access, and then you set up passwords and two-step verification to protect your business from security threats. You protect your organization with security analytics and best practices recommendation within the security center. What are the benefits of Google Workspace? How do we set up our Workspace account? Now we have mentioned that you need to identify and prevent threats. So now that we know that the benefits of Google Workspace, how we're gonna move on how do we set up our Workspace accounts? The step number 1, there are 6 steps into creating your Google Workspace account. So now we are going to be moving to 6 steps of creating your Google Workspace account. The first step is to visit the following website workspace.google.com. You sign up /sign up /business starter. That is the first step into creating your Google Workspace account. Step number 2 will be input your business name. Step number 3 will be add your contact details. Step number 4 would be to choose your domain. And step number 5 would be to update your business and your business address. Step number 6 would be to set up your login details. So now we are going to go into deeper into the 6 steps of creating your Google Workspace. How to get set up on Google Workspace. Okay. As I've said that you need to follow these 6 steps to create your Google Workspace account. So the first step is to go to the workspace.google.com/sign up/business starter. After that, you will need to input your business name. You need to enter core business details or your business name. Your business name, number of employees, your location. That's what you're gonna need to put in on the step number 2. Step number 3, adding your contact details. What you will need on step number 3 is to add your first name, your last name, your email address. That's what you will need under the step of adding your contact details. And then step number 4 will be choosing your domain. With choosing your domain, you can either choose the one you've bought or the suggested domain. So Google, what usually happens that when you creating the Google Workspace account, it will ask you if you have your own domain that you've bought, or if not, then they will suggest a domain for you. And you will need to update your business address. So we'll need on step number 5, you will need to put in your business address. And then lastly, then you set up your login details where you will choose your username and your password. Those are the 6 steps of creating your Google Workspace account. Those are the 6 easy steps of creating your Google Workspace account. Now we move on to how to get set up on Google Workspace. You firstly need to create your business email. Add team members and users, migrate your data and import files. That is what you'll need to do to set up Google Workspace. So when you create a business email addresses, you don't need to add email addresses or users account. Instead, you can create email aliases and group addresses. These type of addresses are free. You don't count towards your Google Workspace user license. And then You can have email aliases. For example, you create the addresses info and then at your company name.com for customers to contact your company. You can add the addresses as an alias to your business address. And then you create your company name at um, info at yourcompanyname.com, and then adding team members and users. If you need your teams to a business addresses like sales at your company .com, your company name.com, or support at your company name.com, you can create these addresses as group addresses. Then everyone in your sales team can receive messages sent to info at yourcompanyname.com. And at this point in time, I would like to pause for question. Let me look at questions in the chat box and answers. I see Zodumo said she is using Google Meet for meeting. That is a very good tool, Zodumo, to use. Google Meets. I see a question from Miss Matapelo asking, how does one share documents on Google Slides? How does one share documents on Google Slides? If there's anyone here on you guys that are on the session who would like to answer that question, feel free to do so, but I will answer the question. But if there is someone who would like to answer the question, you are more than welcome to do so. How does one share documents on Google Slides? That is the question. Now we're moving to boost communication across your business. And another question that I have is, which tools can you use via Google Workspace to boost communication? As I have mentioned several tools that you can find on Google Workspace, which tools do you think, or which tools do you know of that you can use via Google Workspace to boost your communication? That is a question that I am posing to you, or rather on the floor. These are the key communication tools found on Google Workspace. We have Google Mail, where we are sending our emails, attaching documents, and we have Google Meets. I think Zodumo mentioned something about Google Meets for she is currently using Google Meets for meeting. Google Meets, yes. Google Meets is a very user-friendly tool which you can find on Google Workspace. You can use for meetings with anyone anywhere in the world. Sorry about that. With anyone anywhere in the world. And then we have Google Current and we have Google Chats. Now I'll go deeper into these tools, starting by Google Mail. With Google Mail, you can communicate globally with ease using Google's free email tool Gmail, which is called Gmail. You can send files, you create groups and mailings lists, and access integrated calendar in order to stay connected and up to date. So with Google Mail, which is known as Gmail, you communicate globally with anyone, and then you can send files via the attachment tab that is there, and then you create groups and mailing listing. And it also have integrated calendar in order to stay connected and up to date. So you can store your daily reminders or your meetings on Google Calendar, and then when it's time for you to, or maybe it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes before the meeting, you'll have a pop-up from Google Calendar saying that your meeting is starting in 10 minutes or in 5 minutes. So that is the advantage of Google Mail. So you get to have integrated calendar where you stay connected and up to date with everything that you need to do for the day or for the week or for the month. It is up to you. So with Google Mail, you send files, you create groups and mailing lists, and you access integrated calendar. And coming to Google Meet, you keep your team connected with enterprise-grade video conferencing built on Google robust and secure global infrastructure. Meet is included within Google Workspace and G Suite for education. So I believe there was this time, especially during the level 5 lockdown, during this coronavirus pandemic in our country, most companies or most teams, they needed to have a meeting once in a while, maybe once in a month or in a week. So Google Meet is a very good tool to use for meeting with, because it has enterprise grade video conferencing, and it is secure in global infrastructure. So Google Meet, it is a very good tool for online, or for rather video conferencing. I believe most companies were using Google Meet for their daily or their weekly meetings. And we have Google Currents. With Google Currents, you engage employees, you foster more meaningful conversation and stay connected. You work towards a common goal, build a community, and ensure employees can communicate their ideas and receive instant feedback. I believe everyone wants wherever or whenever they are working or whenever they are um, s- posing a suggestion or an idea, they want to receive a feedback based on what they have suggested or they have um, posed. So with Google Currents, you get to communicate the idea and you receive instant feedback. And you work with your team towards a common goal and you build a community and ensure employees can communicate. That's what you do with Google Currents. Then coming to Google Chats. With Google Chats, from direct messages to group conversation, Google Chats help teams and businesses communicate fluidly and efficiently from anywhere. So, I would say that Google Chat is an instant messaging tool from anywhere. It is securely connect with and you can securely connect with anyone you work with and share ideas, files, and tasks with ease. So with Google Chats, all you need to do is have a Google account and then stable internet connection, and then you'll be able to use Google Chats. And it is an instant messaging tool. You can send message directly to a specific person. You can have a group conversation with maybe a team or a group of people at the same time, or you can send a message directly to a specific person. And then we have a top tips. Top tips to maximize your communication. The first tip is to recreate in person communication. Recreate in person communication. Number two, you need to stay organized. Number three, you need to create team mailing lists. And number four, you need to set up project or team rooms. So we have four tips to maximize your communication with Google Meet. You need to recreate rather, in-person communication. Number two, you need to stay organized, create team mailing lists, and set up project or team rooms. And then the one that we'll be talking about, number one, recreate in-person communication. With the recreate in-person communication, you number one, schedule regular team calls and check-ins via Google Meets and Hangouts. So when you recreate in-person communication, you need to constantly communicate with your team. You schedule regular team calls and check-ins via Google Meets or Hangouts. So you need to communicate constantly with your team with using Google Meets or using Hangouts. You connect with your colleagues and teams across the globe. So you don't have an excuse of saying that I can't connect with my colleagues because they are in another country and I'm in a different country. If you have a stable internet connection, then you can connect with colleagues and teams across the globe anytime, anywhere. And you can also brainstorm ideas, work on team projects, and hold virtual events. You don't necessarily to be in one space or one room to brainstorm ideas or work on team projects or hold virtual events. So, as I have mentioned before, we have tools that you can work on, like Google Documents, for instance. You can work as a team on one document. You can brainstorm ideas on documents. You can brainstorm ideas on Google Documents, and you can work as a team wherever you are. You don't need to be in a specific room or in one place. You can join from mobile and desktop devices. So, what is nice or lovely about Google Workspace? You don't need to have one device or specific device, or maybe say a laptop. And then, if you don't have a laptop, then you won't be able to access Google Workspace. With Google Workspace, you can work with from mobile, even from mobile phone. You can work with Google Workspace, desktop, tablet, your laptop, you name them. You can work from any mobile device, even desktop devices, on as long as you have internet connection. It doesn't have a specific device to work on. Say maybe a using or using a specific software, maybe iOS or Android. You can use, or Microsoft or Windows. You can work on any device. And then we will move to stay organized. We have Google Calendar. As I have mentioned that when I was talking about Google Mail, with Google Calendar, you improve your communication across teams through Google Calendar. You create multiple teams calendar to track meetings, training sessions, vacations, and more. You improve visibility and organization by ensuring all team members remain connected. So when you have Google Calendar, you can track your meetings. As I have said that with Google, if you have noted down a meeting on Google Calendar, 5 minutes or 30 minutes before, you will have a pop-up message saying that your meeting is starting. It's a sort of a reminder that your meeting is starting at this time. So you'll be able to track the sessions, the training sessions that you'll have, the meetings and the vacations and more, by ensuring all your team members remain connected. And then we move to number 3, create team mailing lists. With create team mailing lists, you create a Google group email list, you send status updates, you share resources, you increase invisibility and foster communication. And then lastly, you set up project or team rooms. When you set up project or team rooms, you help team members stay connected by creating a room in Google Chat or chat in Gmail. So when you set up project or team rooms, you keep your team active by creating in Google Chat or chat in Gmail, using a email, sending your employees or your team emails so that they can stay active. And then you encourage your team members to network with each other, share project ideas, exchange thoughts on best practices, and create stronger sense of community. So you create team building and team working with setting up your team rooms, because you'll be encouraging your team to network with each other, and then they share ideas, they exchange thoughts and practices, so that you can create a stronger sense of community within your business. At this point in time, I would also like to pause for questions. If there are any questions. And we move along. We move to leverage tools to increase collaboration. So with Google Workspace, collaboration is very much important because collaborating it gives you different ideas of what people think and different suggestions. I believe working as a company, it's what you is important, and is working as a team and knowing what other people think and have some ideas from other people. So we're gonna leverage tools to increase collaboration. Which tools can you use on Google Workspace to increase collaboration? So, on the tools that I have mentioned earlier, about Google Workspace that you can that are available on Google Workspace, which tools can you use, or which tools do you think you can use to increase collaboration on Google Workspace? Collaborate across teams and projects. Brainstorm ideas, share working files, make suggestions and tag colleagues, and you track changes. Sorry. So when you collaborate across projects and teams, you brainstorm ideas, you share ideas with other people, and then maybe let's say for instance you are working on a specific project, and then you need ideas. So when you collaborate across a project and teams, that is when you brainstorm the ideas with other team members, and you don't need to be in one room. You can do that wherever the other members are, as long as you are online and have internet connectivity. You can do that successfully. You can brainstorm ideas. You can share work files. So as I have mentioned, that we have Google Drive where you can store data and files safely, and then you are able to share the working files. There is an option of a share button, or you can send a URL or a link to whoever you want to share the file with. And then make suggestion and tag colleagues. When you make a suggestion, you can mention the person that you and tag. When you tag a colleague, it's when you are mentioning maybe a specific person, and you can make suggestions and then tag your colleagues along. And then you can also track changes when, if you're maybe for instance you are working on Google documents, and then you are brainstorming an idea, or maybe you're working on a project, and then you brainstorming some few items. Then when you see changes, you can track changes from Google documents, changes that have been made. And then we move to Jamboard. With the Jamboard, you are able to harness the power of digital whiteboard to share ideas and improve brainstorming sessions. So with Jamboard, I would say it is a digital whiteboard where you are able to share ideas and improve your brainstorming sessions. And it is connected to cloud, enables people in different locations to work together in real time through multiple touch points. So with Jamboard, you can write down it's a cloud based tool which enables people in different locations to work together, where you will be um, um, writing down your points on a whiteboard. It's a digital whiteboard that's what I can put it. A digital whiteboard that people can use to brainstorm their ideas. That's what Jamboard is used, or is it the function of Jamboard? And with Google Drive, you store files on cloud, you share your working document, presentation, everything. You can share even from photos from your cell phone. You can share and store them via Google Drive with ease. Make suggestion and tag colleagues. You edit shared documents in real time, reducing the need to send files and back and forth. So with Google Workspace, you can edit and share files like instantly, like at the same time. You don't need to save, as I have mentioned before, you don't need to save a specific document and then send it to the other person, and then the person can edit and then send it back. No, you don't need that on Google. All you need to do is that you need to share the document or the worksheet online, and then you can work together. You can edit the document together with your team. You can suggest changes, you can comment with ideas and tag colleagues to increase visibility and boost collaboration. Tracking changes. You view all edits made to your document and files. You restrict access, you track changes, you improve suggestion and ensure collaboration efforts are managed and reviewed efficiently. So you are able to check who viewed. You are able to you are able to check who edited, what time, what changes did the person do from where I left the document. Let's say maybe you went offline from the document, and then when you come back, you see that there are changes. You can see who made this change and what time was the change made. I would like to pause for questions if there are any questions. Okay. I will pause for questions if there are any questions. And then now that I have explained and mentioned the advantages and the benefits of Google Workspace is, I would like to know what are your next steps as a business person or as a company, your next steps. I believe now you have a clear understanding on what Google Workspace is, the functions, the benefits, and how to use Google Workspace. So I would like to know at this point in time, what are the next steps as a company or as a business person? What are your next steps? Okay, now we are wrapping up our session for the day. And this is where you can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram under the following links. These are our social media platforms where you can find us for our next sessions details. Thank you very much for joining today's session. I hope you have learned a lot and you understood what Google Workspace is, and you'll now go back to your companies or businesses and implement Google Workspace across your business. Thank you very much.